Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Lost One podcast. I am your host, Shenzo the Lost, as always, and joining me, I have Shoshima.
Hello.
And special guest today, we got Haseo to join us.
Special guest, even though I'm technically here all the time.
Yeah, I mean, he did make a guest appearance in the first episode that I'm still trying to edit out, by the way. He was that loud.
We let him out of the basement, guys.
We did, which is weird because I don't even have a basement.
House.
I know. I have a basement.
Yeah, he has a basement, which is weird, but that's another story.
Haseo did want to use my basement, but that's a separate podcast in itself.
Yeah, we'll have to go dive into that later. So anyway, guys, today I figure we'll keep it very simple. Samurai's not with us today. Unfortunately, don't know what's going on with him, but I'm sure he'll be back when he can.
He's lost in the ether.
Yeah, he got lost in space.
Uh-huh.
Somewhere. He's putting the Lost in Shenzo and the Lost.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, see.
Lost in space.
Yeah,
space,
Lost in
space.
space. So, we're just going to dive in. We're going to talk video games. And that's kind of the reason why I'm sad Samurai couldn't make this, because, Samurai, just like us, is a big video game nerd.
He's a big nerd.
But that's why we got Haseo in here, as a poor man's substitute. I'm kidding. He was actually planning to be part of this podcast from the beginning, but...
He's taking all the jobs.
Oh, God. Man, if that were even remotely true. But,
yeah, because we're not getting paid. This isn't a job.
Yeah, no, this is not a job, so, yeah. I was going to say, I pay you guys?
Exactly.
That's news to me. But, yeah, anyway,
You
so...
signed my contract.
What contract? Anyway, so with that being said, I just figured, we'll just shoot the shit on video games for about an hour or so and go from there. So, Seo, since you're kind of the new one here on this podcast anyway, what's kind of your games that you're playing right now?
Right now I'm prepping for games.
You're prepping for games? Like, what games are you prepping for?
Well, Escape From Tarkov is in the process of wiping, Nikita, the director of Escape From Tarkov, basically posted a picture, and it's like, are you ready for the wipe? Which, a lot of people interpret it weird because he is a bit of a troll. So, Nep is until events are being done everywhere, I don't believe it. And I posted that picture, haven't heard a comment from him since. And then, of course, today they're like, these wipe events are happening. I'm like, oh. If only I was paying attention to the devs.
Right. So for those that don't know, Escape from Tarkov it's like a first-person survival.
Kind of like a BR-ish.
Yeah,
VR
VR like.
ish is the very important thing.
Yeah, I made sure to say ish.
Yeah, it's an interesting game. And as Haseo alluded to, they do server wipes. So basically, the advantage of that, right, is that everybody can basically play during these wipes. It's brand new, clean slate. No one else is ahead of you.
There's no pay to win.
And there's no pay to win. So
No, I'm just saying, though,
Yeah.
Once it wipes, there's not that dude with all the loot.
Yeah, and that's the one thing is I am horrible at first-person shooters when it comes to playing with some of these people. So I'm not very good at getting the kills. But one thing I do like is when they do wipe, everyone's even. So everyone's going into these matches with horrible guns, horrible ammo. So it's not like right now if I go play, since I haven't played in a couple months, I'm just going to walk into the guys that have the best ammo and the best guns and the best hiding places. So I'm going to get murked. And the thing that's interesting about Tarkov is whatever you go into the map with, you have to supply yourself. So you have to supply your own ammo, your own guns, armor, everything. And if you die with it and someone takes it out of the match with you, it's gone. You don't keep it.
Yeah.
Which is kind of fun when you do that to other people, not so fun when it happens to you.
Yeah. And of course there is a little safe box you can get, right, where you can store certain things in a safe box. They can't be taken from you.
Correct.
But we're talking I think what the average safe box is a 2x2 in the item slots, or
it's
3x2.
The standard is 2x2.
Yeah.
If you can craft bigger ones, but those are kind of hard to craft.
Yeah.
I have what's called the Edge of Darkness edition, which is like a founder's pack basically. So my standard default is it is and it isn't, because in theory it's not the biggest one. The biggest one would be Kappa.
Yeah.
Which I don't have. That one is just super hard to get. And so the EOD, it doesn't give you pay to win. It does give you some more guns. It does give you more storage out of the match, not in the match. And then of course in the match you do get a bigger case, but again, it's not the biggest case, but your default is definitely not the smallest.
Yeah, and the thing about the cases too, like I want to really stress is that like even a slightly bigger case isn't like a huge advantage because we're talking like items can take like a 2x4, like a 2x2, so 4 squares by themselves. You can have items that take up 1 slot. You can have 2x1s. You can have 3x3s. There's really fun trick, at least I remember. Is this still possible where you can put bags inside of bags?
Yes, I do that in my storage all the time.
So
sometimes when you're on the go because you're getting shot at, you just take whatever bag of someone you found, you stuff it in your bag, and roll.
Yeah. So there's lots of like neat little tricks with Tarkov. The biggest reason I've talked about this before why I don't play it is because I don't have a lot of time to play games, and Tarkov is a big time sink.
Oh yeah.
So that's the one advantage, like the resets. But for me, it's like I'm not a big fan of the reset system, but I totally get why they do it. And for me, it's like if I'm going to invest all this time in a game, I don't want to just lose my stuff randomly, like after all that time. But but not everyone feels that way. Haseo loves it.
I love the reset. But again, Nikita has addressed this. He does say that eventually he does want to do servers where it will reset and servers where it won't.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of one cool thing is Battle State Games does a real good job at talking out to their community. I also started hating the Twitch drops now.
Yeah. So
they found a real good way of making so many people stay on Twitch without actually giving you much.
Yeah, I mean that's the way it goes, right? I mean that's what Twitch drops are. I mean League of Legends is the same way. There's lots of little fun Twitch drops that you get on League. Like every month, I think you can get like a Prime capsule.
Yeah, that's actually not that bad.
I probably have like 15 of them because I haven't played League in like 15 months. But
you've been claiming them, right?
But I've been claiming them because I'm like I'm on Twitch like literally every day.
Yeah.
What you are?
Yeah, it's weird.
What for?
I don't know. Sometimes I stream, sometimes I watch. Mostly watch. I don't stream very often.
No, not at all.
No, and certainly not regularly.
No.
But yeah, so it's with Tarkov, it's interesting. They have a very unique take, I think, on the game industry, and they feel a very unique like niche in the game space right now. That we're like, really, if you're gonna be like a shooter on Twitch anyway, you pretty much have to be a battle royale. We saw that with Halo Infinite, and Halo Infinite, don't get me wrong, had some problems, but like the multiplayer, at least for like the smaller 4 versus 4s, was still pretty solid, and it just tanked on Twitch like immediately. The viewership dropped very quickly after like the initial like 3 days.
I feel like this battle royale, this Tarkov system where you go in, grab loot, I think that's going to be one of the bigger niche because right now the dominant one is the battle royale.
Yeah, battle royale I think is unquestionably like one of the kings of Twitch in the gaming space at the moment.
Yeah, and Tarkov is one of those games where it doesn't have as well devoted fan base. However, the fan base it does have is very dedicated.
Yeah.
And there are other games coming out. Like I want to say one of them is called like Loop, which is kind of like Tarkov but sci-fi. I think one of the Battlefield games was trying to put a Tarkov-like mode. And I want to say same with the Call of Duty. So there is all these major companies do recognize that there is a need for it, and
yeah, it's unexplored game space. It's unexplored game space, and that's always one of the things. Like as a game developer, that's like one of like the top things you want to do is you want to fill that unexplored game space. So that's kind of why Tarkov to me is just it's an interesting case study. For those that don't know, I did study game design for like 2 years in college before I ended up dropping out of the program because I'm a scrub. But it is fascinating, just as someone who has studied development at least a little bit, to see Tarkov because like Haseo said, it does have like battle royale elements, which is like drama, right? But it's not quite as like cookie cutter as a lot of battle royales have gotten.
Yeah,
and it's like to me, I was actually just having this conversation in Hang Time's chat today about Fortnite because PETA and Grayson were playing Fortnite today, and I was one of those people who thought Fortnite was like one of the dumbest things ever when it came out.
Didn't they just put in Orochimaru?
Probably.
Yeah, there's another Naruto fan.
Yeah. So, but yeah, now now Fortnite, like to me, is just like it's in my opinion, it's the standard for the battle royale.
Well, and I heard that no build mode's really good.
Yeah, well, that was the thing is like that was to me the biggest obstacle to getting into Fortnite was the building, and it's not to say the building's bad. By what I'm about to say is just I cannot build for shit. Basically, yeah, I do not have that type of reaction to where like I would literally take a shot at somebody and then a skyscraper would appear in front of me, and I'd be like, "What?" I've never been able to figure out and get the timing down for the
Yeah,
building.
I can't read the building.
And I came from my first battle royale was PUBG, so
You mean the first battle royale?
pretty much, yeah. And it was so I came from PUBG, so I was kind of used to the slower, less demanding pace that PUBG was, especially in the early days.
Oh yeah.
But
Couldn't even.
so when Fortnite came around, it was like, man, I this seems like really cool. And the style was like definitely aimed more towards kids with the cartoony style. It wasn't as realistic. It wasn't as gritty. And then you had the building aspect, and it was like that was the part that I just was like, nope, I can't do this. And I tried. Like I spent like probably like 10 hours trying to like get the basics down, and I would be lucky to get like a wall up, and then I would just get
You gave it more
massacred.
effort than I did.
Yeah, and so it was like I was like I'm done with Fortnite, and now here I am like all these years later, like having to eat my own words. Like Fortnite has really and truly, I think, become like the gold standard for the battle royales, and that's something from someone from an Apex player who really likes Apex Legends a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just Fortnite. When you look at it, they've got the skins, they've got the crossover appeal, they have all these licensed properties, and their gameplay is actually super solid. Like watching people play it, it's like it's a very well made, well designed game, and it's like it would just be naive at my point, to say, hey, this is a bad game. No, it's not a bad game. It's an amazing game, and I'm like, man, I actually might have to start playing it at some point.
They got way better crossovers than Call of Duty.
They do, yeah. Well, Call of Duty managed to like screw up half their crossovers too. So.
Hey, have you seen that Attack on Titan?
Yeah, that's the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
What about the Gojira one?
Oh god.
Oh, they did a Gojira one?
Yeah,
It was also terrible.
Oh, horrible.
Yeah.
Oh.
My favorite part is it's a first-person game, so you can't see your costume.
Yeah, that
So
was the
you
other
have a
thing.
costume. Wait.
It is at least
Come again?
It is at least with like PUBG and with Fortnite, it's like it's third person.
Yeah,
and
you
I
can
think,
see.
Yeah, so it's like okay. And
Man,
I think PUBG had a first person mode. I don't know if Fortnite does though, but
Not that I'm aware of.
yeah. But either way, it's like
But you can at least see your skins. Oh, wait, you said first person?
Yeah, he said first.
yeah, it's
First is when you don't see yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so. But yeah, so anyway, it is kind of interesting, and I'm curious to see kind of like what the future of like Fortnite is, because obviously every time I feel Fortnite peaks, they come out with something else.
Yeah.
Like the no build mode, which I think really reinvigorated the entire game.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at like the designs and all the crossovers they've got, and it's just, and then even the way they like do their skins is like a lot of like with even Apex, it's like impossible to get like older skins.
Mm-hmm.
You have to get like really lucky in like box pulls or whatever in order to get them. But in Fortnite, I guess they do like a rotation system. So it's like, even if you miss, like, for example, a skin that came out like 5 years ago, there's a chance that it will come back up in the store.
Oh, that's cool.
So, like, Fortnite, in my opinion, and, again, this is just outside looking in, not someone who plays it, but, like, from what little I've seen, they seem to be doing everything right. And, I'm sure there's going to be people who watch the podcast like, well, actually, well, look, I'm not like a hardcore Fortnite player, but just from the outside looking in, compared to, like, the rest of the Battle Royales, they seem to be doing something extremely right.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is, if they found the right mix of appeal between like really good gameplay and mechanics, and like the colorful animations and the well done maps. I don't know.
Yeah, I
Like-
mean, Fortnite definitely has more charm than PUBG ever did.
Yeah, and PUBG, like, I agree with like Sean Bolin. PUBG is probably one of the biggest disappointments in gaming, because it had all the momentum in the world and just never did anything with it.
Yeah, because all they ever did was create new maps, never address bugs, and it's like, really?
Yeah,
Really?
or the hacking problem that
Oh, yeah,
existed, and then there were the cheats with the low resolution.
Should we make the game good, or should we just make more maps?
Yeah,
I remember
and
getting
then
new
they
graphics
went in
cards.
onto like the loot box system, basically, where you had to like buy for like you had to like buy for like individual pieces, not even like full skins, but it was like socks and then shoes and like jackets, and yeah, you could get them by random drops, but the random drop system was worse than like Valve's, and that's saying something, because Valve's system is not aged well.
I remember once
But
I found a skirt, and I didn't think much about it. I looked at the how much it was going for on the Steam
on Steam
store.
Marketplace, yeah.
And it wasn't selling, so whatever. About a week later, I checked again. It was selling for about I think it was like 1,000. So I'm like, sell.
Yeah,
I need to sell this now. And it's like, oh, well, you can't sell it until you have the Steam app on your phone. Oh,
Yeah.
where's that Steam app installed on the phone? It's like, oh, yeah, you can't sell anything.
For like 72 hours after
No,
you
no,
join the
it was a week.
marketplace or whatever.
You have to have the Steam app on your phone
for like a week.
for a
yeah.
week, and then you can sell stuff on the market.
Yeah.
So that entire week, I just saw the price of the skirt fall from like $1,000. I still sold it for like $300 or something
Yeah.
like that, which is fantastic. I was like sad, but it was still like I would never pay for that. But
Yeah.
it's
You were
still-
watching your Game Stonks just go.
Yeah, Game Stonks. Yeah, that was Game Stonks before Game Stonks.
Yeah,
So Sam's a
exactly.
Game Stonks hipster.
Yeah, and so I still sold it for like $300, which I think I ended up buying like games for people. So like $300.
Yeah, $300 is Steam credit. By the
Yeah,
way.
it's Steam credits, which is basically money.
Yeah.
Just you can only spend on
You
Steam.
just can't buy food, but you can buy Steam stuff.
Yeah.
I was
Well, hey.
Steam rich. I mean, I'm not Tyler. Tyler was pulling knives.
Yeah, I was about to say that was from CS:GO, right?
Yeah,
Like,
Tyler was pulling some of these crazy $200, $300 knives and just
Yeah.
selling them. He was actually making money while playing CS:GO. I'm like, huh?
Yep. No, I mean that's the thing about like game economy, right? If you're good enough or lucky enough, and there's a market for it, hey, cool. But yeah, so moving back to kind of just like specifics. So we've kind of talked a little bit with Shoshima, but Shoshima's a Capcom slut.
Just a lot.
He loves Capcom. So like, what's your kind of favorite games right now?
I don't know. I don't know what my favorite
Yeah.
game could possibly be.
Hint, hint, hint.
Yeah, no, I'm gearing up for Sunbreak. It
Yeah.
comes out here at the end of the month.
Yeah,
Spoilers, we're recording this at the end of June.
yeah, right.
And yeah, ready for that. Well, yeah, apparently Riley beat Allmother, so now I'm behind.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, you haven't beat it? Oh.
No, I didn't play anymore
Oh.
after that night.
That's
Yeah.
horrible.
I wait for my friends, and then they play video games without me.
I mean, that sounds like me.
Yeah.
So that's I feel you there.
I had assumed that you had already beat All Mother, so like, yeah, why am I gonna wait?
Also, for our audio viewers, because Haseo and Shoshima forget that not everyone's going to be watching, Shoshima's wearing a Monster Hunter shirt, so that's what we're talking about. Sunbreak is the new Monster Hunter DLC coming out soon, and yeah, Shoshima's a big Monster Hunter fan. Loves Monster Hunter.
But yeah, the Sunbreak DLC comes out, so that's good. I've been keeping up with the news on Street Fighter 6. I need somebody to talk to about that, because
Mhm.
no one else likes Street Fighter that I know.
Yeah,
I'm
sorry.
not a fighting game fan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the only fighting game I play often is Smash, and I haven't even played Smash a lot recently.
Uh-huh.
So.
I button mash. That's what I do in
Yeah.
every fighter game. So.
Yeah, but no, I did see though, like there's some like just to talk a little bit about Street Fighter, so I don't leave you hanging here. Is that the thing I'm most impressed by is that they have like different animations for like the entrances, like on the 2v2.
Oh, like back in the day with Soul Calibur?
Yeah, so it's like it's like player 1 and player 2. Like
Mhm.
even if you switch characters, so like I think it was like Chun-Li and like Ryu were both in. So you had like Ryu first player and then Chun-Li second.
Mhm.
They had an animation and then you would swap them. So you would put Ryu second, Chun-Li first, and then they would come in, but they'd have a different animation.
Oh, okay.
So it's like, and I don't know, like again, as someone who just like appreciates video games in general, that's like the little detail I
Oh,
appreciate.
yeah, because now their loading screen, your faces come in,
Yeah.
and you press buttons, and you do like
You
different
can do
faces.
you can do like the emotes,
So,
yeah,
like,
which
Ryu does like the freaking like Ultra Chad like
yeah, he
face.
does.
It's freaking amazing. Like just little stuff like that. It just seems like Capcom cares about this entry.
Yeah,
Because Street Fighter V was just so much like esports.
yeah.
And this one just seems like let's just make a fun ass video game.
Yeah, and you know the thing is like with esports is there's a market for that, but it's a small market,
Yeah.
and that's what like a lot of companies I think like one of the reasons why like I'm a big fan of like Sakurai from Smash is because like Ultimate was kind of like this really good balance of like we want to consider the you know Smash community like the
Mhm.
competitive one, but this is still going to be a game that like anyone can just come in and
Like,
pick, and
it's still a video game.
yeah, and it's
you know?
and you know it's literally like the ultimate Smash game.
Mhm.
But
They should call it like Smash Brothers Ultimate or something.
yeah, really, they should. They hit
Yeah.
it a little on the nose there, but hey, you know, whatever. But
It should have been Smash Brothers. Everybody's here. You're here.
yeah, you're here. Not you though.
Just get Oprah on Smash.
I'm over here like, how'd they get Joker in there? I'm like, he's not even on his Nintendo console yet.
Yeah.
I
Well,
think it's like-
technically.
Yeah.
Well, then I think like a couple weeks later, after they announced Joker on there, they're like, Persona Smash, or what was that?
No, Persona Q.
Yeah, it was Persona
Was
Q
it
or
Q?
something
Okay,
like that.
and
Yeah.
then I know they did that Hyrule Warrior one too. I'm trying to remember if
Yeah.
that was on the Switch or not.
It came out on all of them, but that came out after Joker.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, we've talked about this a lot with like the Switch, is that anytime a developer wants to develop a game for Nintendo, and then they also want to do it for Microsoft and Sony, they have to kind of like fudge their system to make it work on the Switch.
Oh yeah, that's a whole separate conversation.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Well,
I don't like pro versions of consoles for that reason.
We'll talk about that in detail, I think, in a future episode
Yeah.
for sure, about like the different consoles, and we'll probably go into depth on Nintendo specifically at some point.
Yeah, but even like on Street Fighter, one of the Maximilian dude who I follow and keep up with
Yeah.
is even saying like that whole like face meme like is going to be the loading screen, and the whole point of that is because they're still making this for the PS4.
Yeah.
That's going to have some long ass loading time, so they're giving you something to do.
Yeah.
During the loading times, you know, and just they have to make it for the lowest common denominator.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting too that you talk about doing something to do, like finding something to do during the loading screens. It's like it reminds me of like why Kingdom Hearts had the gummy ship system, because like the original Kingdom Hearts came out in 2002 on the PlayStation 2, and it had
that was still pretty early PS2.
It really was. The PlayStation 2, I think, debuted in 2001, I think?
Something like that.
Yeah, but yeah, so it was one of those things where, like, yeah, it was very early on in the life cycle. So what they did, because they had all these different worlds to load in, was they created the gummy ship system. So you would literally, like, play a mini game while you were loading the world, basically, which was pretty cool. But, you know, that's, again, same type of thing, same strategy.
Looking at the specs of the PS2, I'm like, what?
Oh, yeah, well, it's like the story about how, I think it was like the U.S. government used PlayStation 3s to build a supercomputer.
Yes.
So, yeah, you know.
I remember I went to Fry's and they had a computer out of the PS3, because the PS3 was a beast.
It was, 8 cores.
Yeah. The PS2 still wasn't a bad piece of technology for its time.
No, I mean, and they actually sold kits that would go with the Linux based system, and you would make a computer out of the PS2.
Yeah. That's another conversation we should have at some point. Is we should talk about consoles, like specific consoles, and like the development of them. You know, going all the way back from like the original like Atari to, you know, we should definitely do that later. But as far as like video games, though, you know, if we're not seeing kind of a recurring theme here, is we got 3 Monster Hunter fans here. Although I don't think Haseo and I are as big of Capcom fans as Shoshima is. I don't think that's possible. But you know, for me, I've been really into like Subnautica has probably been like my top game recently. And Subnautica Below Zero, which, you know, I was talking about, I just actually played last night. We're recording this on a Wednesday. I stream Subnautica Sub-Zero on, or Below Zero rather, on Tuesday nights. And it, so far, like, I think I'm probably like about halfway through based on what Sinky Dog's been telling me.
Okay.
But it's probably a 9.5 or a 10 out of 10.
Have they released the 2.0 patch yet?
I don't think so. I know I just saw an announcement from the developer, but I didn't read it yet, so I don't know.
I know they're doing a 2.0 version because they just did like a patch version for the Switch. I saw an article about this the other day. So now they're saying they have one team working on the third Subnautica, because it's technically not Subnautica 3, it's Subnautica whatever the title is.
Yeah.
And then they said that they're working on the 2.0 patch for Below, and then the 2.0 patch for Subnautica 1, which I'm like, oh, that's cool. You're working on the third, but still updating the first. That's cool.
Yeah, you know, again, they're really very devoted to this franchise. They were still updating it in, I think the last update for Subnautica 1 was in like last December 2021, I think.
Yeah.
And then Subnautica Below Zero, I think, is still getting like small patches to fix bugs. So yeah, you know, again, I have a lot of good things to say. I ranked like the original like Subnautica like a 8.5. It would have been higher, but I had some like really annoying recurring bugs in my gameplay.
You got way more bugs than I did.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
And but you know, but it was like
aliens.
It was still, well, yes, but also no. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. So, you know, if you like unless you're like deeply afraid of the ocean, which I've met like several streamers who are,
I can see that.
you know, Subnautica is not going to be for you because you spend the vast majority of your time underwater and you can't really see a whole lot during like half of your gameplay because there's a night and day cycle. But it's a really solid game. And then so beyond that, like I'm a big fan of platformers. Like I love platform games. That's kind of like my genre of games that I feel I'm pretty good at. Smash Brothers is kind of the exception.
it's a platform fighter.
Yeah.
People call it so.
But I really enjoy platformers. So like, and I'm not like the hugest fan of roguelikes, but I've really been enjoying like Rogue Legacy 2. And I loved the original Rogue Legacy.
Yeah.
But Rogue Legacy 2 is like just a huge improvement like across the board, just like Subnautica Below Zero was for Subnautica. I've been very happy with it, and
I didn't really realize I enjoyed roguelikes, but I tried Dead Cells.
Dead Cells, okay,
and
yeah.
I technically beat it, but there's like so much more you can do.
Oh yeah, well that's the problem with like most roguelikes is like they're literally designed to keep going.
Yeah, but that one's like a 2D roguelike, and then there's Hades, the isometric.
Yeah, Hades, which
really
in my opinion is one of the most underrated games ever. Like I've only played it once, but it was phenomenal when I did. It's
great, and everyone's really sexy in that game.
Yeah, everybody's like, oh god, they're hot.
Especially Medusa, that's just a floating head.
Yes, everyone likes the floating head. It's the snake hair.
Yeah,
right. That's what does it for most people. But yeah, it's
your people like
that. But yeah, so I mean, like, that's like kind of my like genre of games. But like I would probably clarify. Like I've been a big Nintendo fan. Nintendo was the company I grew up with. With that being said, I'm not like a hardcore Nintendo fanboy. So like, if you're like gonna come at me in the comments about like, oh, what about this? Like, this is a pretty crappy business practice. Hey, guess what? You're probably right. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
Business-wise, Nintendo sucks.
Yeah, they're. Oh god, they're. I would say half the time is being generous. I would say like 80 to 90% of the time.
That's without me doing proper research. Yeah. So at least I'm safe.
Yeah, but no, I'm just saying like as a Nintendo fan, like God, they're lucky they make really good games and they they have so many first parties because they just make everything a nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
Like way more difficult than they have to be.
Yeah, I don't know. Their business practices are very interesting.
Sometimes I feel like they're allergic to money.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. Like, Nintendo hates money. Nintendo is like the universal. And if you missed our Hulk podcast, you should go back and listen to that. But they're like the universal of the video game industry. They just do not want to make money for whatever reason.
Yeah. If you missed the Hulk podcast, why the fuck are you listening to episode 5 before episode 4?
I'm not going to complain as long as they're listening.
I know, right?
But yeah, it's one of those things where like Nintendo they just leave so much money on the table.
Yeah, actually,
and it's crazy to me.
On my one podcast, I listened to a Pokemon podcast, and he was going over like just IPs. And Pokemon is the number 1 IP that makes money in the world.
Yeah.
And he's going through, and Mario was like number 5 or something.
Yeah.
But actually, most of the money they make from Mario is video game sales, not even merch sales.
Yeah.
Which Pokemon,
it's like merch.
60% of their money is merch.
Yeah, I mean, but it's just Mario is, in many ways, right? I talked about my love of platformers, but in many ways, Mario set the standard for platformers. Mm-hmm. Nintendo set the standard for platformers.
I don't think there's any way to argue that.
Yeah, because I know there's like a couple earlier platformers that were out like on the Atari, but they weren't very good.
Yeah.
But, it's like Nintendo, like Super Mario Brothers is in many ways the original platformer. It's what set the standard. And then Nintendo, a couple, like a decade later, set the standard with 3D platformers with Super Mario 64.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, I do feel that, like, Sony has had a couple, like, Crash was a good one. Like, Crash got neglected for, like, 20 years.
Yeah.
And, I'm so happy.
Crash got sold to Microsoft. That was the problem.
Yeah. Well,
Or Activision? Activision.
Yeah, it was Activision.
My bad.
Yeah, so, because that was, you're thinking Banjo-Kazooie and Rare got sold to Microsoft.
Yes.
Yeah, because Banjo-Kazooie was like...
Another
popular one.
I would argue that Banjo-Kazooie is the greatest 3D platformer on the N64. Like, it's even better than Super Mario 64. And this is someone who, like, really struggled with some really stupid shit in Banjo-Kazooie. But, like, I think that as a whole, that game is so much more, like, complete than Super Mario 64 was.
I still love Ukulele. How everyone's like, we want a Banjo-Kazooie game, and they did Ukulele, and everyone was all fun at first, and then they're like, oh, yeah. And I'm like, what's the problem? Oh, it's too much like Banjo-Kazooie. It has the same problems. And then it's the perfect game. It's what you guys asked for. You said you want. You got Banjo-Kazooie.
You could write a book about that with the fans, like, with like hardcore fan bases, like whether it's like. And this is movies, right? But like, I think the point stands is like, I look at like the Star Wars sequels, where it's like, okay, so The Force Awakens was too much like New Hope.
Mm-hmm.
So then they have The Last Jedi, which is nothing like
like
anything they've done before, and it's
And
like, oh, this is too different.
there was almost riots over that movie.
Oh God,
and
yeah.
Honestly,
One of these days we'll do a Star Wars pod, but like it's the same thing, and like video games are the same way. As like, you know, there is a certain extent where like you need to like.
Well, yeah.
Listening to fans is fine to an extent, but you have to know where to draw the line.
Yeah.
And I don't know where that line is, and I know a lot of game developers don't know where that line is. But
well, even like with the Resident Evil series, it's really funny to like watch it, like how it evolved now.
Yeah.
And then like see how everybody bitched about it, like with RE6.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because like you had RE1, which set the standard for survival horror.
It did. Yep.
Then you had RE2, which I actually just watched a video about the development of RE2. It's pretty interesting. But basically, they ended up delaying the game because they wanted to make it better than RE1.
Yeah.
It sold even better. Then you had RE3, which was weird, but it still like went a little more action oriented.
Yeah, it was heading in that direction, but it was a very subtle change compared to like what they did with like 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah.
Now, those were the ones that were switched, right? Wasn't the original Resident Evil 3 supposed to be non-canon for the Dreamcast?
Yeah. So the Dreamcast internally, Capcom was making Code Veronica, which was supposed to be RE3, but they signed a deal with Sony, saying that they had to make numbered RE titles on the Sony system, and they were already working on Nemesis, which was a side project. So they're like, well, you're the numbered title now.
Yeah, you're number 3, and it's interesting too because you brought up Code Veronica, and you know I've talked about this with Grayson from Hang Time, and I think most people I've talked to are in agreement that RE4 needed a remake way less than Code Veronica. Like, Code Veronica is the game that everyone was hoping they would announce the remake, and instead they went with RE4. Because RE4, well, it's not certainly up to, like, today's standards, right?
Didn't it get remake not that long ago?
It holds up pretty well.
HD port.
Yeah, they had an HD port of it not that long ago, like Haseo pointed out. So it was like, but Veronica has pretty much remained untouched, and, like, for RE fans, like, Veronica is one of those games that I've heard, because I'm not a big RE player, I'm not a big horror guy. Sorry, Grayson, but you know,
he's not sorry, Grayson.
Veronica is a big is a big sleeper.
Yeah.
From what I've heard, it's one of those games that like the RE fan base really enjoys, but just gets like no love from Capcom.
Yeah, I feel because it was the spin-off title.
Yeah.
And then it debuted on the Dreamcast, which not a lot of people had.
Yeah.
They did eventually port it to the PS2, but yeah, I don't know, just the stigma.
Yeah.
Of being a spin-off.
Wasn't RE4 also on the GameCube?
Originally, it was exclusively on the GameCube.
That's what I thought. I'm sitting here like, why do I remember an RE game on the GameCube? And I'm like, oh yeah, it was probably 4.
RE1, the first remake, was actually on the GameCube.
Yeah, that's right, because they remade it for the GameCube because of the fancy 3D graphics.
Yeah, and that was the basis of the other RE remake that they did on the PS4 a while back.
Yeah, yeah. Now, yeah, Resident Evil is a very fascinating franchise, in my opinion.
Because 3 got sold decent, but still was, like, had more action.
Yeah.
4 sold like hotcakes.
Yeah, 4 was...
And it was even more action-based.
Yeah, and then they went all in on 5. Is 5 the one where Chris punches the boulders?
Yes, the boulder puncher.
Yeah. So they actually, and I think they make a reference to that, right, in Marvel vs. Capcom?
Yeah.
Hulk calls him that?
When Hulk calls in Chris, he goes, Rock Puncher!
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, I remember we talked about this on a previous episode, but I'm not like a huge Capcom fan, and I'm not a huge Resident Evil fan. I do know the Resident Evil story, though, because I'm a lore slut.
Oh, and that's what's good with Resident Evil. They have lots of lore.
I got some YouTube channels to give you.
Oh, yeah. Well, so just for the record, I've also watched, like, every Resident Evil movie, and with the exception of the latest one. I haven't seen that one yet. The reboot, I guess.
Welcome to Raccoon City.
Yeah, Welcome to Raccoon City.
I heard Capcom didn't even want you to watch it. That's why they released it on Thanksgiving.
Oh, that makes sense. I mean, hey, it's still
or the movie company.
It's still probably a better movie than Morbius
or Monster Hunter.
And the sad thing is I actually did enjoy that new Resident Evil movie.
Yeah, no, I want to watch it. I haven't watched it yet.
That's seriously the one here that's watched it?
Yeah, I think so. Oh, wow. Unless Tanner's watched it.
Hey man, I've been busy and I got kids.
Yeah, he has kids and I just don't care enough. Like, but I have watched the Resident Evil films and I actually enjoy them because they're like campy, like bad horror.
Which is kind of how RE started.
Yeah, it kind of, and it's like, so people are like, oh, well, why don't you enjoy horror games? Well, okay, I get stressed out really easily, and I don't enjoy getting like jump scared. So like Subnautica is about the closest game I will play to like a quote unquote horror game, unless I'm being like punished for it or something. Which again, for the record, I can be bribed. So like, just throwing that out there.
I know I didn't have enough money to morb them out.
Nah, but yeah, Morbius is like, anyway, it's like with Resident Evil though, that franchise is super interesting because they have gone through many different iterations, and then with RE7 and Village, they kind of almost went back to their roots. Like they still have that like action, feel, but it's way less so than like RE5 where Chris is punching the boulder.
Yes, because then RE6 they like went super over the top with everything, and that's what
they did. Like,
okay, how did we get here? And I'm like, actually looking back at it, you can see how you get there.
Oh yeah, it was a step-by-step process, but yeah.
That's one thing I've learned is people can vote with their wallet.
Yeah, yeah.
And people don't understand that concept.
With one exception, and that exception is mobile games, because mobile games, the whole business model relies on what we call whales. And that's like the people, like, hilariously enough, Texas Senator and proverbial person I want to punch in the face, Ted Cruz, randomly in like an interview was talking about how he likes to play games, but he pays to win. And I'm like, God, he literally is like everything I hate.
I was gonna say, I saw the stupid article that said Ted Cruz is a whale. I'm like,
yeah,
I'm gonna scroll past that.
Yeah, it was so. Anyway, it was just not to jump like too deep into politics here, but like I think universally we all can agree, fuck Ted Cruz.
Yes. However, I'm gonna circle back to underrated hits.
Sure.
So many Kingdom Hearts remakes. So not enough Birth by Sleep remakes. Come on.
I mean to be fair with
speaking of remakes, I'm so ready for this winter. Sorry.
Oh no, that's all right. But real quick,
Crisis Core.
Yeah, Crisis
Core.
Core.
Fantasy 7 Part 2, Crisis Core, basically.
No, Crisis Core.
No, they're remaking
a full remake in
winter. Oh, yeah, they are doing
an Crisis Core.
Yeah. Oh wow. Because I sent you that trailer for that Final Fantasy 7 Part 2, right?
I don't remember, but I've seen Part 2, not this winter, but next winter.
Yeah.
But Crisis Core is this winter.
Oh, I didn't realize there was an actual Crisis
Core. No, they announced at the
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt what you were trying to do, Haseo. But...
No, you're good. The Crisis Core was at the Capcom showcase, I think.
Square Enix.
Square Enix, yeah. God, Capcom. I have Capcom on.
I didn't do the Square Enix.
Yeah,
I didn't either, but I saw.
Yeah, I actually watched it, and like. The chat went like crazy when they announced Crisis Core.
Oh, that's
like,
dope.
Yeah, I'd love Crisis
more excited for that.
Honestly, Crisis Core might be like in my top 5.
Yeah,
you cried.
Twice.
Yeah, so did I. I'm not going to deny that. Like, hey, Crisis Core was great.
Not gonna lie, that main character, his name, Choice.
Yeah, I mean, who names their character Zach? God,
I know, right? It's even spelled correctly too. That's why I'm like.
Yeah. So circling back to Kingdom Hearts though, like the thing about Birth by Sleep is they haven't needed to remake it because they just re-release it with the HD remakes. You didn't know that?
There was a Birth by Sleep remake in the HD?
Yeah.
Well, you can play it on your console, yeah.
Yeah, you can play it.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah, it's here. I actually have it right here. Kingdom Hearts: The Story So Far. Birth by Sleep is on it. Yeah, and they also released it for, I think it was a 2.5 on the PlayStation 4.
Yeah, no, it's on there.
Originally, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna have to go back and play
that. And Dream Drop Distance 3D, which someone in marketing should get paid for that.
Yeah,
making Dream Drop Distance. I'm like, oh, Kingdom Hearts 3.
Oh. Somehow they made it work with Nintendo's like crazy ass like naming conventions for their consoles.
But that was pretty good naming. I'm not even gonna.
Yeah, but the thing I was gonna make, the point I was gonna make though is that like Birth by Sleep doesn't really need a remake because the PSP was like way ahead of its time. Like the PSP had like better graphics than almost anything Nintendo's put out. Like even to this day.
The Vita is seriously just as strong as the Switch.
Yeah,
I will die on this hill.
Yeah, no, I mean, but we'll talk about that in detail about Sony dropping the ball with the PSP and the Vita.
Yeah, the PSP not as much. The Vita, fuck you, Sony. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So towards the end, they kind of did try and revive the Vita, but then
it was way too late at that point.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, but that's another conversation. But yeah, like Birth by Sleep is universally considered to be one of the better Kingdom Hearts games. Out there, it's right up there with like 2. I think it's like those are usually like whatever's number 1. It's like it's either Kingdom Hearts 2 or it's Birth by Sleep. I have heard some really weird tastes, like Grayson, for example. I really like Chain of Memories, which was a huge shock to me.
Fuck Chain of Memories.
Yeah.
Well, that's because you didn't know how to.
Fuck
do
Chain of Memories.
Yeah.
You're like the only person that I know that actually struggled to beat that game.
But yeah, so anyway, Kingdom Hearts. I'm actually playing my way through the Kingdom Hearts series on Twitch every Monday. So yeah, I know I'm not going to be done by the time this podcast comes out. So like, yeah, come check it out.
Kingdom Hearts 1 or just
Monday.
Kingdom Hearts as a whole?
The Kingdom Hearts series. I'm going through every game because.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think Kingdom Hearts 1 you still won't be done.
And you're doing the final mix versions, right?
Yeah, I'm literally playing the HD remakes, 1.5, 2.5 remake.
Yeah.
That came with the
those
story
are all
the
the final
pack.
mix versions.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, Kingdom Hearts is another game where it's like, God, if you're looking like for lore, like, holy crap, that lore does not make any fucking sense.
It doesn't make any sense, and
yeah.
then they do callbacks from stuff that you thought were minor things.
Yeah.
In like the first or second one.
Kingdom Hearts is literally the only series I know where you have to play like every freaking side game to understand anything that goes on, and even then, like, it's
Even
still
then,
like
good luck.
Yeah, it's still like I've described Kingdom Hearts like this, because don't get me wrong, I love the Kingdom Hearts lore. I want to be very clear. I'm a huge Kingdom Hearts fan. I love the series. I love the lore, but I will be the first to admit it is freaking ridiculous and the most convoluted story I think I've ever seen in my entire life.
And again, they don't tend to advertise the side games so much. So like a lot of people didn't know that there was a game between 1 and 2.
Oh yeah, so Hang Time
in
Grayson's and Peta's playthrough. They literally went from just 1 to 2, and you cannot go from 1 to 2. Well, you can, but you will be so freaking lost in the story in 2 because you skip Chain of Memories. Which, by the way, we mentioned earlier, Kingdom Hearts 1 came out on the PS2. Guess what console the Chain of Memories came out on?
The Game Boy Advance.
Game Boy Advance. Guess what console Kingdom Hearts 2 came out?
PS2.
PS2 again. So yeah, you had to own both, which is like wow. But that's kind of Kingdom Hearts in a nutshell. I mean, they had games like on the mobile phone. They had online like MMO RPG.
Oh yeah.
They had
that one.
They had games on the PlayStation Portable. They had it on the Game Boy Advance. They had it on the PlayStation 2.
Then the 3DS.
The 3DS. Like they've been on
DS. They did Recoded, which was a phone game.
Yeah, which was a phone game originally, and I mean, it goes on.
And the DS was 358 over 2, right?
Yeah, 358 over 2 days.
Is that the right numbers?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah, you got it right. Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah, lots of like crazy stuff with Kingdom Hearts. But like I said, I'm a huge fan. Kingdom Hearts meets Final Fantasy, or Disney meets Final Fantasy, rather.
Yeah.
Great idea. Like, first of all, I don't know if you guys heard that story, but apparently it was because a Square Enix executive and a Disney executive met in an elevator.
Yes, it was an elevator pitch.
And it was quite literally an elevator pitch, like Shoshima just said. So. Yeah, I just.
Square was supposed to have a chainsaw.
Yeah, he was, which that would have made him a little too much like Ash from Evil Dead. Which, by the way, since today or I think yesterday officially, Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness came out.
What, on video or what?
No, on Disney Plus.
Oh,
and on digital streaming. Yeah,
wow.
it's out already. Yeah, and for since we mentioned Ash from Evil Dead, like I have to go back and watch like Evil Dead because as I mentioned, I'm not a big horror guy, so I like never watched Evil Dead.
I'm right there with you because Doctor Strange, I heard it's a Sam Raimi film, and watching it, I'm like, yeah, because I've seen kind of some parts
like
of
I've seen some of his, like I know obviously a lot of the memes, I've seen clips, but like it's one of those things where hang on one second, everybody. Sorry, Tanner, don't paw up the carpet, kiddo. Come on, lie down.
But yeah, after watching that, like going back to watch the Evil Dead.
Yeah, I'm like I have to go watch like all the Evil Dead films now because
they did a show for it too not that long ago.
They actually
attempted to watch that.
They had a Netflix.
No, it was on Showtime or Stars. It was one of the movies.
Oh, okay. Because I know that Netflix advertised the hell out of something for with Bruce Campbell, and it was he was playing Ash. I don't remember what it was.
Maybe it got ported over to Netflix.
Something, but they were advertising the shit out of it, and I almost checked it out. But yeah, so like Sam Raimi though, like he did a great job with it, and everything that I've heard about Multiverse of Madness, it was basically Evil Dead but in the Marvel universe. I'm like, oh cool, if that's the case, I'm really gonna enjoy it.
Here's the thing: is the first Evil Dead movie wasn't very campy. The first one was a little more serious.
No, I heard it was Army of Darkest is when they go all in on the campiness.
Yeah. The second one went a little bit more, and then I think the Army of Darkness is the third one. And
yeah, but
that's the one where he goes like back in time or something like that.
Yeah,
he's in the Middle Ages. With
he's in the Middle Ages. Yeah, so
and I'm like, what happens when you run out of gas?
Yeah, but hey, we don't need to address that.
Don't run out of gas.
It's just like in all movies, like when it's like, what happens when you run out of ammo? Well, it's simple. They just don't. They fire like they have a pistol that only has 6 bullets. Yeah, well, guess what? They have an infinite number and they never reload.
A while back, I was watching this series called The Men That Built America, and so they were talking about oil, and I guess gas is a byproduct, and then what they were just doing, because they didn't know what to do with gas, so they were just throwing it in the rivers, and I'm like, yo, you know how much money that's wasted nowadays?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, you never know, but I mean that's a little. I know the connection for those that aren't paying attention. Haseo often goes off into random side tangents. He connected the gas from Bruce Campbell's chainsaw. So just so you guys know, like that's where the leap came from. If you were like, where did that come from? That's what Shoshima and I ask ourselves pretty much every day.
Leaps and bounds.
But
leaps and bounds.
Speaking of not reloading, Doom's really fun.
Yeah, Doom is another one. I mean, that's in a lot of people would argue Doom is like the father of FPS.
Didn't one of your professors do Doom?
Yeah. So one of the professors I had back at UC Santa Cruz actually worked on Doom. He was one of the developers for Doom originally.
Nice.
And he turned into like a huge video game nerd, unsurprisingly, and eventually started teaching it. And at the time, so for some context, I went to UC Santa Cruz in like 2009, and in California at least, they were pretty much the only 4-year university at the time that offered a video game development course, which is why I went there. But yeah, we have a lot of really interesting people in UC Santa Cruz. You guys probably don't know, but Tom Lehrer, who is like the original parody master from like the 60s and 70s, like the silly songs that kind of like Weird Al is known for.
Yeah.
He taught math at UCSC.
Oh, okay.
And actually was a guest professor when I was there. I didn't get to teach him, but yeah, interesting little fact. He has a couple of hits. New Math is a big one where if you listen to New Math and like you have any knowledge of like how many different math systems we've gone through in the United States education system, it basically means we're just doing the same shit over and over again.
How did they change math?
Yeah. Then that's an Incredibles reference, by the way.
Yeah.
But then he also has like Poisoning Pigeons in the Park. He did like the Element song and all sorts of like little fun jaunties that are kind of like making fun of like society and comedy in general. But yeah, anyway, interesting sidebar there. But yeah, UC Santa Cruz had some interesting stuff. I'll never forget. We got to play video games in class as part of our assignments.
Nice.
Like one of my assignments was literally when a Steam sale happened with Mass Effect, and it put like the original Mass Effect on sale. This was I think right after like Mass Effect 3 had come out, like right in that ballpark, or right around that time. So the original Mass Effect went on sale, and we were instructed, if we could afford it, to buy Mass Effect and experiment with the different choice systems.
Yeah.
So that was something I've always thought was pretty cool. Just a little fun thing there. And
which ultimately meant nothing, which is why I both love the game and hate it. I love the physical game. I hate the ending for it.
Yeah, I think most Mass Effect fans would agree with you there. But yeah. let's not dwell on like 12-year-old like.
It's okay. They made Andromeda to make up for it.
Oh God. Okay, I'm gonna put put a kibosh on this conversation right now because that's a whole nother podcast.
I'm actually excited for Mass Effect 4.
Yeah, but we're not talking Mass Effect 4. We're talking Andromeda and Mass Effect 3.
We don't talk about Andromeda.
I started it.
Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, so it's one of those things where like there's some good stuff, again, and it was interesting to be part of that, at the time, 2009. Mm-hmm. Now I think like almost every 4-year college offers some kind of video game development, but at the time, only Santa Cruz was like one of the major universities to offer, and so we had pretty much all the best of the best, which was a lot of fun. But yeah, so we're sitting at about 48 minutes, so we're almost 50 minutes in. So let's do some final thoughts on some video games and kind of wrap up.
Okay.
What do you call it?
Thank you very much for that contribution.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great podcast material.
Fallout in Space.
Starfield.
That looks interesting. I'm hoping they didn't drop the ball on it.
Yeah, I never actually watched that the Bethesda presents or whatever.
Yeah,
So I
their
haven't seen
showcase.
the newest, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Fallout in space seems interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to have lots of bugs. It's a Bethesda game, so like.
Oh, I thought you meant alien bugs.
Oh, that too. But
I'm wondering to see if they're still running on the homebrew engine.
yeah, I mean, I honestly
If
don't
they
know.
better not.
I haven't done a lot of research. I don't keep up to date with a lot of like the newer stuff, but also there's so little like new stuff that interests me.
Oh, speaking of new stuff that might interest you, have you seen Dragon Dogma 2 is coming out?
Yes, I did hear about that. Unfortunately, it was also announced at the same time as
It was a Square Enix conference.
Yeah, as Crisis Core remake. So it was like, well, when
No,
you compare the
both
two,
online conferences were at the exact same time.
yeah, and it was like, yeah, like I love Dragon's Dogma, I really do. I've never actually beaten it. In fact, I haven't really gotten very far in it, but like it's a super wonderful game.
Yeah. Once I get that mythical Steam Deck, I'm gonna have to boot it up.
Yeah, that's the big thing.
You want a Steam Link? I have a Steam Link. We have 2 Steam Links in this house.
We do.
I don't think they've ever been turned on, but we got
No,
2 Steam
I actually have to set mine up. I'm going to turn it into a Jackbox machine.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah, with Dragon's Dogma 2, like I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be great. It's something that Dragon's Dogma fans have been like asking for what feels like over a decade at this point.
Well, and they were teasing the crap out of those Dogma fans.
They really were, but yeah, so that should be fun. Like that's probably one of like the only new games I'm interested in, but that's also not a game I'm going to buy day one. Like I'm going to be completely honest.
You know what game just popped in my head? And I'm like, huh, they never did a part 3. You remember White Knight Chronicles?
Oh, yes, I do.
Gosh,
Yeah. I remember White Knight Chronicles. I actually think I still have my copy for the PlayStation 3.
I don't know if I have mine still.
I definitely don't have mine, but that's a game like, huh? Yeah, they never did a 3.
Yeah, I don't think.
At least in America, they never did.
Yeah, I don't know enough about that franchise, but I mean, there's lots of games that they just fall off the radar for whatever reason, and
I just liked that was a game where your character was not the main character.
Yeah, no, it's
you were just a bystander in it.
Let them tell a very like scripted story, but still let you like have a character in the story.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me that the game that kind of storytelling perspective reminds me of is, I want to say it was called The Third Age. It was Lord of the Rings title.
Oh, okay.
Where you basically played like all these secondary characters with a secondary party, and your whole story was basically you were chasing down, I think it was like Boromir, and you got like an elf and a dwarf to help you, and you go through like the Mines of Moria behind the Fellowship. You aid Gandalf with the Balrog.
Yeah, you're not Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, you're basically playing like you're not actually like influencing the main story. You're just following what happens. So it's kind of like, it was an interesting take.
That's a cool concept.
But whereas opposed to like Shadows of Mordor, where like literally nothing about that game is canon, like in the slightest. But that's another story. But yeah, so Shoshima, what are kind of your final thoughts on like video games, and just is there anything you're particularly looking forward to aside from like Crisis Core? We've already, I think, established that.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to not Dino Crisis.
Yeah, totally not Dino Crisis.
No, Capcom specifically stated it has nothing to do with Dino Crisis.
Oh, I'm sure it doesn't.
And then all of us Capcom fans are sitting there like, nah, motherfucker. Like when you were making this game, it was a Dino Crisis game. And you're like, whoa, this is way different.
Yeah,
you can't call it Dino Crisis anymore.
If it's not related to Dino Crisis, there better not be any Dino Crisis Easter eggs hidden.
I know, right?
Yeah, right.
But that looks interesting. Like I said, Street Fighter looks interesting. I really like how Capcom's being able to like push with this RE engine.
Yeah.
And even in the one podcast I was listening to, it's just a whole fighting game podcast.
Yeah.
And they're like, I didn't even play Monster Hunter World, but thank you God, Monster Hunter World. Now Capcom has a budget again.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, that's very true.
Fair enough.
Well, yeah, Monster Hunter World was so many quality of life changes for Monster Hunter.
Yeah. Oh yeah, but I'm just saying Monster Hunter World is a quality of life change for Capcom as a company.
It really was, yeah.
It was.
Like, yeah.
So, not to derail this, but again, we do need to kind of wrap up. So, Haseo, any final thoughts?
Yeah, Starfield, that's a game I'm definitely looking forward to. Definitely looking forward to that Tarkov wipe. What was that? I remember the Minecraft
Minecraft like stories or something
is
like
it
that.
Legends?
Yeah, Legends maybe. Yeah, that looks interesting.
That one made me go,
yeah.
like, okay, I can get behind this.
Yeah.
I think Minecraft Dungeons was actually pretty good.
It was. It was very good. Recommend it. I love Minecraft and I love the Minecraft dungeons. So
yeah,
it's
it
like,
was basically like a strategy game, right? A Minecraft strategy game.
kind of. It was more like a It was almost like kind of like a. I think like it reminds me of like Final Fantasy and Crystal Chronicles.
RTS.
Yeah, kind of like an RTS, but it was like a top-down like
Yeah.
where you're only controlling like one character.
Yeah, like an isometric.
Yeah, an isometric. I don't know what you would call that, but yeah, it's basically like it's like an adventure game,
Yeah,
like an adventure game, and it's a lot of fun, you know. And it just was in the Minecraft world, and you know that's the thing. Like for me, it's like a lot of people. I remember when Microsoft bought Minecraft, were like, "Oh my god, they're gonna ruin it." No, they've actually done, I think, pretty well with it.
I remember when we couldn't even do multiplayer in Minecraft. Like I remember Corey came from college and was like, "Yo, you guys should try this game." I'm like, this game has like bad graphics, no co-op, blah blah blah. Hey, you guys want to go get food? Yeah, I'm not that hungry. Yeah, we've been playing for 12 hours straight. What?
Yeah.
12? What? I guess this game's a lot more fun than I thought.
Yeah, and here we are with bad graphics and everything. All these years later, there's now they have Java Edition, they have Microsoft Edition, they've got Dungeons, they've got Minecraft Legends coming out.
Way buffer computers still running stable Minecraft.
Yeah. But Minecraft it's pretty good. So anyway, for me, I think really the big thing on my end anyway is I'm just kind of looking forward to seeing kind of like what's next for like the Kingdom Hearts franchise.
Kingdom Hearts 4 looks interesting.
I have to say I hate the art style already.
Oh really?
Like I'm really hoping that that's not permanent because it looks so terrible in my opinion.
I think that art style is gonna be for just that one area.
I'm hoping so, but like you just don't know.
Yeah.
And I think that Chase Sedate, who is from Hang Time, but he's actually leaving on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
He's moving over to do bigger and better things with Mr. Beast. He summed it up pretty well, where it was like we were really hoping they would take Kingdom Hearts 3 and the aftermath of the Xehanort saga, which, as we've stated multiple times, is super convoluted. They would at least try to simplify the story. And it does not look like that is the direction they're going in at all. They are going to go full ham into this like ridiculous Nomura shit that's going to have remixes to clarify things that don't make sense.
That's what I'm worried about with this Final Fantasy VII remake.
Yeah. Well, with Final Fantasy VII, I feel that they've at least stayed close enough to the original story and they've fleshed out more characters.
Have you played the game?
Yes, I have.
Okay, because the end just kind of fucks everything.
It does. But that's what I'm saying is like, I said generally. They have taken some liberties, but like, they at least have the original story as kind of a guide, and it's also not finished yet, so we don't know what's going to happen.
No, I know, but Nomura's behind the story.
Yeah, that's also true. So anyway, as you can see, Tanner is telling us it's about time to wrap up. So normally this is the part where I would ask Haseo where his socials, to share his socials, but he doesn't really have any. So,
not really.
So we're just going to skip him, and we're going to go to Shoshima. Where can we find you, Shoshima?
At Zachary1016, Zackery 1016, and just like how they spell Zach in Final Fantasy.
Yep. And then you can find me at Shens of the Lost. You can find him on Twitter, and I'm pretty much everywhere. YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, Reddit, all those places. So with that being said, guys, we're going to sign off, and thank you very much for listening. Remember to like, subscribe. Please share this with all of your friends and your family. Assuming that they're okay with us swearing and talking video games the whole time anyway.
If they're not, then fuck.
Yeah, if they're not, then well, shit. We fucked that up. But anyway, guys, we're going to sign off. We'll see you guys next week here on the Lost One podcast.
Okay, bye.
Bye.